Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, my dear students of Honor Stratford, how you folks are doing. In my today's lecture, I will discuss about communicative language teaching and the main principles of communicative language teaching, and finally, why is communicative language teaching considered an approach rather than a method. And let me first tell you the definition of communicative language teaching. Communicative language teaching makes use of real life situations, and any real life situation requires communication. The teacher sets up a situation that students are likely to encounter in real life. Unlike the audiolingual method of language teaching, which relies on repetition and drills, the communicative approach can leave students in suspense as to the outcome of a class exercise, which will vary according to their reactions and responses. The real life situations change from time to time, day to day. Students' motivation to learn comes from their desire to communicate successfully and meaningfully about meaningful and different type of topics. And now, my dear students, I will tell you the principles of communicative language teaching. At the level of language theory, communicative language teaching has a rich theoretical base. That is, the theoretical base of communicative language teaching is very rich. And some of the characteristics of this communicative view of language are as follows. And number one, whenever possible, authentic language, that is, language as it is used in real life situation, should be introduced. Number two, being able to figure out the speaker's or writer's intentions is part of being communicatively competent. Number three, the target language is a vehicle for classroom communication, not just the object of study. Number four, one function can have many different linguistic forms. Number five, students should work with language at the discourse or sentential level. They must learn about cohesion and coherence. Number six, games are important because they have certain features in common with real communicative events. There is a purpose to the exchange. Having students work in small groups maximizes the amount of communicative practice they receive. Number seven, students should be given an opportunity to express their ideas and opinions. Number eight, errors are tolerated and seen as a natural outcome of the development of communicative skills. Number eight, one of the teacher's major responsibilities is to establish situations likely to promote communication. Number nine, communicative interaction encourages cooperative relationships among students. Number 10, the social context of the communicative event is essential in giving meaning to the utterances. Number 11, learning to use language forms appropriately is an important part of communicative competence. Number 12, the teacher acts as a facilitator in setting up communicative activities and as an advisor during the activities. In communication, a speaker has a choice not only about what to say but about how to say it. Number 13, the grammar and vocabulary that the students learn follow from the function, situational context and the rules of the speakers. And number 14, students should be given opportunities to listen to language as it is used in authentic communication. And my dear students, now I will tell you why is communicative language teaching considered an approach rather than a method. Communicative language teaching is best considered as an approach rather than a method. It aims to make communicative competence or efficiency the goal of language teaching and develop procedures for the teaching of the full language skills that acknowledge the interdependence of language and communication. The goal of most of the methods is for students to learn to communicate in the target language. Some observed that students could produce sentences accurately in a lesson but could not use them appropriately when communicating outside the classroom. Wilkins' contribution was an analysis of the communicative meaning that a language learner needs to understand and express rather than describe the core of language through traditional concepts of grammar and vocabulary. There are two types of communicative meaning: notional category, which include time sequence, quantity, location and frequency, and the second thing is communicative function category, which include request, denial, offer, complaints, etc. In short, being able to communicate required more than mastering linguistic competence. It required communicative competence. Communicative competence is the ability to engage in the interpretation, expression and negotiation of meaning. There are four dimensions of communicative competence. The number one is sociocultural dimension, number two strategic dimension, number three discourse dimension, and number four grammatical dimension. Sociocultural dimension is an understanding of the social context in which communication takes place, including participants' role, the shared knowledge and information, and the function of the interaction. The strategic dimension, coping strategies that communicators employ to initiate, terminate, maintain, repair and redirect communication. Discourse dimension, the interpretation of individual message elements in terms of their interconnectedness and of how meaning is represented in the relationship to the entire discourse of our text. And number four, grammatical dimension is the focus on sentence level grammatical structures and includes the recognition and use of semantic, syntactic, morphological and phonological features of the new language. And it is because of these dimensions the CLT or communication language teaching is the mode of an approach rather than a method. And my dear students, with these few words, I would like to conclude my lecture for today, and thank you very much for listening.